We are following major developments in the growing political crisis in Venezuela.
Massive protests happening across Venezuela, a country that's in collapse. This is what socialism does, and now the people are taking to the streets in massive numbers.
President Trump tweeted today that he officially recognized Guaido as the interim president of Venezuela.
Marco Rubio has been calling for this kind of measure for a long time.
Venezuela has a constitution. What happened a few years ago is that when Chavez dies and Nicolás Maduro, the current dictator of the country, takes over, he has to stand for election. Before he stood for election, there was an election to the National Assembly. And the party that was Hugo Chávez's party and now Maduro's party was trounced. And Maduro realized that his party and he himself could not survive in a truly democratic system.
Dozens of pro-government activists stormed onto the grounds and attacked opposition politicians. Dozens of people have been killed. It is the latest outbreak of violence in a country struggling with a deepening economic and political crisis.
And so what he did is he canceled the National Assembly. First, he just started ignoring them. He stopped following their orders. They'd pass a bill and he just wouldn't implement it. Just completely ignore it, as if they didn't exist. And then he replaced the Supreme Court. Maduro's not a president, he's a dictator right now. He's canceled the Constitution. They basically tried to nullify the National Assembly. And what solves the situation in Venezuela is not problematic. They have to follow their own Constitution. That's it. Follow the Constitution that Chavez put in place. Hold an election. He created out of thin air this thing called the Constituent Assembly and gave them extraordinary powers. And one of the things that Constituent Assembly did is they created an election late last spring. It wasn't a real election.
These elections were neither free nor fair.
But this is an election that has been declared illegitimate by most democracies, certainly most of Latin America, by the United States, by Canada.
Venezuelan opposition leader Juan Guaido declared himself the country's interim president amid nationwide protests to oust sitting leader Nicolás Maduro.
The EU and most of the Americas now recognizes the opposition leader Juan Guaido as the president.
And today, the legitimate government of Venezuela is the government of President Guaido, and that is who we're going to be interacting with.
Senator Rubio, who had a key role in, I think, persuading the administration to move ahead and recognize this opposition leader, is on the right path. Peaceful transfer of power. And that, for me, means elections, internationally supervised elections.
Not only is this an opportunity to do the right thing in Venezuela, it's an opportunity to give the start to a new hemispheric reality, a new Latin American reality that serves the national interests of this country and allows us to live in a hemisphere that is free and prosperous, where people do not have to abandon their homelands, where people can stay in their countries if they so choose and raise their families and not have to undertake dangerous journeys to other countries for fear of their lives.